All right, y'all, welcome back to Nini's Texas Kitchen. Today we're gonna make something called Chelsea buns, but what it really is basically cinnamon rolls, but they're fruit filled. So the ingredients that you're gonna need is to make the dough. So for this dough, it's 500 grams of bread flour or 3.5 cups of bread flour. And then you're going to need to add 1 teaspoon of salt to that. So you just pour it in, and then I'm going to use a whisk. I got to get my whisk to mix it together. Like so. Now, to the center of this, I'm going to make a little well with my fingers, like so. And then you're going to add 1 packet of yeast, which is 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, or 7 grams. Now, the other part that you need is 1 1/3 cups of milk, and that's 300 milliliters. And then you need, what did I say? It's 3.5 tablespoons of butter, or 40 grams. And I've got that melted into the milk. So it's slightly warm, but not overly warm. So I just put them together in the microwave and melted them. So now I'm going to pour this in. And then we need 1 egg. And that goes in. So now this is going to make our dough. So you can make it by hand, but I'm going to use my stand mixer with a dough hook. And I'm going to mix the dough up. And basically, you just keep letting the dough hook mix it together until it makes a smooth, stretchy dough. And then you let it rise for an hour. So I'm going to let this mix for a while. It usually takes about 5 to 10 minutes. Once it comes together to the proper consistency, I'll show you what that looks like. All right, y'all, so our dough is done. And as you can see now, it's like nice and smooth. And it'll stretch and make like the window pane effect. That means your dough is ready to go into its first rise. So what I'm going to do is squirt a little bit of oil in my bowl just to keep it from sticking, and then pop that down in there. Now I'm going to cover it in cling wrap. And that just keeps any drafts from getting to it while it's rising. All right. So my oven has a setting for rising dough. If yours doesn't, that's fine. Just set it in a warm place that's draft free and let it rise for an hour. So I'm going to put it in here and let it rise for an hour. And while it's doing that, I'll show you what the filling part is made of. So for the filling, you need 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to melt that once I'm ready to take it out and shape them. But you need 2 tablespoons of butter. You're going to need 75 grams of, and this is, the butter is 25 grams or 2 tablespoons. This is 75 grams of brown sugar, which is about 1/2 cup packed of brown sugar, and then 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then you're going to need 100 grams each of the dried fruits that you want to put in there. You can do raisins, you can do currants, you can do whatever, but I'm using cranberries, cherries, and apricots. And they're dried, and I chopped up the apricots because they come in little round pieces like dried fruit, so I just cut them up into little bits. But it's 100 grams each of those three, or that's about 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup. So when it's time to fill it, what we'll do is we'll melt our butter and then we'll brush it on with the brush all over the dough after we've rolled it out. We put these all three in a bowl with our cinnamon and our brown sugar and just mix and toss them, and then we spread them out all over it and we'll roll it up. I've got a piece of dental floss here. This is what I use, and I'll show you how you can cut those rolls nice and easy with that instead of slicing them, because sometimes slicing can make them go flat on one side. So we'll do it to where they're nice and round. But I've got a prepared 9 by 13 inch pan that I've greased and lined with parchment paper, and that's what we'll put them in for the second rise and to bake. So we'll be back when they're done rising, and we will show you how to roll them out, shape them, and let them rise again. All right, y'all, our dough has finished rising. As you can see, it's more than doubled in size now. So we're going to take it out and turn it out onto this mat with a little bit of flour dusted on there. And we want to roll it into a rectangle that's about 10 by 12 or a little bit bigger. It doesn't really matter. Just you want it to be a large rectangle. So when I turn it out, it loses some of the air, which is normal. That's what you want it to do. So now we're just going to take it and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to kind of shape it into the shape that I want and then roll it. Okay, so now we'll roll it one way, and then I'll flip it around and roll it again. It doesn't take much rolling. All right, so that's done. See, didn't take long. Now I'm going to take my butter that I just melted and I'm going to brush it all over the dough. Like so. Just get it all over it. Remember, this was 25 grams or about 2 tablespoons or so. You just want to cover all the dough. It doesn't have to be an exact amount. You just don't want to not have enough. All right, that's good. Now I've got this bowl here. I'm going to take my dried fruits. So I've got my 2/3 of a cup of cranberries, 2/3 a cup of dried cherries, and 2/3 a cup of dried chopped apricots. And I'm going to put those all together. And now I'm going to add my brown sugar and my cinnamon to it and just toss them around to get them all mixed together. You can use a spoon, you can use your hands, you know, either way, it doesn't really matter. Just toss them good because you want to get that cinnamon and brown sugar dispersed really well through it, like so. Like I say, you can use raisins, you can use currants, you can use cranberries, you know, candied peel, whatever you like, but these are some of the dried fruits that we like. All right, so it's tossed really good. So now I'm just going to sprinkle it all over, evenly over my dough. Then I'm going to take my hands and just kind of make an even layer everywhere. Smells good already. All right, now I'm going to roll it. Now that I've got them even, you just want to make sure they're even when you roll it. So I'll just start with a little edge. That's why you want a rectangle. And then just kind of pull and roll as you go. So if some falls out, just pick it up, stick it back in. And then roll it back this way. And you want to take your sides and you want to pinch the seam where it is attached, like so. All right, it's all attached. And then I just kind of pat it to make it be smooth. Now, I'm going to take my dental floss here, and I'm going to come and I'm going to go about halfway. And you can even kind of bend it like this so you know where halfway is. And then put your dental floss through that area where it's halfway. And then cross the two ends and pull. And then it will separate it out evenly. Now you got two exact halves. Now I'm going to come and I'm going to do just about an inch or so, half an inch at the end, just to take those off so that they're not just dough without a bunch of fruit in it or anything. You don't need that extra bits. And then you can just put those to the side. If you got some fruit in there, you can take it out and stick it back in when you get done. All right. So now I'm going to half them again. I'm going to eyeball it this time. And that looks to be about half. I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to cut them into thirds. So, got one. Now do it again. Remember, cross your ends and then pull opposite directions. And now you have the buns. Now, I'm going to take them and put them in my pan, like so. And then I'm just going to keep doing that until I get all of them in there. It should be 12 when I get done. So then I'm going to put them back in the oven to rise on the proof setting for about 30 minutes. And then I'm going to bake them at 375 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes until they're golden brown. So once they're done with that, we'll come back and show you how to glaze them. All right, y'all, our cinnamon fruit buns are done, or Chelsea buns, as some people call them. They're done. They just came out of the oven. I baked them for about 28 minutes just to make sure they were done and get a little bit more brown on top. So they're nice and filled with yummy fruit, cinnamon, and brown sugar. Now I'm going to put the glaze on. Now some people will take apricot jam and they'll like thin it down with some water and brush it over, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make a regular powdered sugar glaze. So I have the powdered sugar here, and I'm going to pour some water in. I've got a half a cup here. This is 2 cups of powdered sugar. I'm not going to add all the water at first. I have a half a cup to see how much I need. So you start stirring it in, and then you see if you need to add more. Well, that is pretty good, but I want it just a little bit thinner to be able to drizzle it over all of my buns. So I add just a little bit more. Make sure you stir it really well. And it'll form a glaze. And you do it, the buns are still hot, so you want to pour it over while they're still hot, because it will go down between all the cracks and everything. So, just gonna drizzle it over all of them. So like I said, this was 2 cups of powdered sugar, and I put about half the water, so about 1/4 of a cup of water. And it just makes a nice glaze, adds a little extra sweetness. And now I'm going to scrape the rest of it out, just so I can get all of it. Going down in all of the little crevices and seams. There we go. And that's it for our Chelsea buns. So if you liked my video making homemade cinnamon fruit buns or Chelsea buns, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to go back and watch some of my other videos. Hit that subscribe button. Share my channel with your friends. I really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see y'all next time in Nene's Texas Kitchen.